No! We're talking about something that really traumatized me as a kid. I'm not coming back.
And that's why you don't like it, I guess. It traumatized you. It taught you the truth.
People suck. That's basically what this book taught me.
The Giver is about a community of people who don't have to worry about the past because everyone is equal. Everybody has their assigned roles, and one person is assigned to be the giver. The giver bears the truth. They know the truth, and they keep it from everyone else. And it is about Jonas as he learns the truth. The Giver was really good. I enjoyed it because it was something different. The society was very fascinating. It was like kind of my first exposure to like dystopias and kind of like a science fiction kind of thing. And that was something really special. And I remember being very impacted by it. And I kind of sat there and kind of looked at the world a different way after reading The Giver. So I'm very excited for the movie.
When I read it, I didn't like it initially. And I think that I should probably read it now when I'm older, because I think why I didn't like it was because it terrified me. Because it showed me that the way I look at the world is different from the way someone else looks at the world. So I can see one thing one way and you can see one thing the other. And how in the society, what you're seeing is completely controlled. And just the little things in society, like being assigned your job, being assigned your kids, being assigned your significant other, and just at a certain age you're released. And just the concept of that, when they finally showed you what being released was, I was just like, this is too much for me to handle right now. So, and I did also like what you said, the sci-fi thing, because it doesn't, when you're first reading it, the very first chapter, it's just so normal. And then you start realizing these science fiction like elements underneath, and it's just twisted in this just horribly
But I mean,
way.
It kind of works for them too in a strange sort of way, right? Like, that's how their society functions, and it functions well. People aren't hungry, they aren't particularly miserable, because when they're assigning you a job, they're like, well, I think you're going to be pretty good at this. Like, so in a way it wasn't awful, but
it wasn't awful to the people in it, because they're just so, everyone is just happy. Like, you take happy pills. Like, the whole stirring thing really freaked me out, because the character starts having dreams about one of the girls that he knows, and every morning you have to share your feelings. Like, what did you dream about tonight? And his mother catches on that he doesn't really say what it is, and then she's like, oh, this is a thing and it happens, but I'll get these pills for you and it'll repress it. It's okay. And just the level of need for medication, like at one point or another, he has a memory that like freaks him out, and he's like begging the guy for like a pain relief thing. And I was really confused as a kid, because I was just like, why do you want Tylenol if your emotions hurt? And then I was just like, oh, I get it now. It's not just physical things that they're controlling, it's your brain. And that was probably one of the scariest moments in my childhood.
I did not pick up on that until you just said that. So, well, good for you. It's like a weird mix of dystopia
it's
and
the
utopia.
whole idea that someone's utopia is somebody else's dystopia. So when the book starts, you think like everything's so perfect that it's a utopia, but the moment Jonas starts seeing things, you realize just how dystopic it is. It's utopia in the view for what I'm trying to say. It's a utopia until you start asking questions and the answers start scaring you.
That's one thing that most dystopias don't do anymore.
Yeah,
they never show the utopia side of the dystopia kind of thing. The part that the world leader says, hey, this is excellent, let's keep going like this kind of thing.
Well, because it's that way, it's so hard to like justify, because we like books where everything is bad, and I know what you mean, because that makes it more interesting, because you can see how this is so wonderful for some people, yet it's so horrible for some people, and it's just...
So, like, the people at the Capitol are like, fuck, life is great, let's party. And then you've got Katniss on the other side, like, bing, well, that's my dinner.
It's a trend, yeah, I agree with you, where we don't like to see the good side. And even if it's not really a good side, we don't like to see the oppressor, we just want to see the oppressed. And I don't know if it's because we relate to that protagonist who's like, yeah, I'm gonna like finish the capital, or yeah, I'm going to like deal with these factions. You don't want, it's, I guess it's because people don't think it's interesting. Like, I read this other book.
But see, if you had two characters and you alternated their perspective or something, and you have this one person who's like, this is doing some good, this is how it should be, this is how I'm keeping it that way, and then you have the other person who's on the other side like, this sucks, like, this is clearly not working, and then you have kind of like their two views, and like this one's kind of right and the other person's kind of right. It'd be so interesting.
Well, I read this one book recently called Delirium. It's Lauren Oliver, and it's the whole idea that society, similar to The Giver, how instead of just like all things they've taken away, in this they've repressed love. So love is treated like a disease. And I thought this was like one of the most random concepts that I've ever come across. But it was actually quite interesting because the main character at the beginning is all like, you know, my mother died because she fell in love and it killed her. So love is bad. I want to live in this society because I feel safe. This is great. I'm okay. I don't need to be in love. Love is bad. And her best friend is very kind of like, oh, well, I want to break rules. I want to go out. I want to go to that party out in the woods that we're not supposed to go to because we're listening to music that causes emotions. And it's just basically the character going across and just realizing just the level society goes to repress things. So it's similar in that regard because you do see that other side.
Yeah.
But it's just not to the same level as The Giver, because in The Giver it's everything. You don't just see love is lost. Like in The Giver they say, okay, you know, he's shown these memories of war and horrible things and disease, and he lives through them, which is one of the big traumatizing things, but he also sees going down the slope on a sleigh and like colors
and carousels and good things too, right?
So in Delirium, we're repressing something that's good because it's seen as bad, but we're not really shown what love can do that's bad, and we're not really shown, it's just, no one's really willing to go there anymore. So I guess how we're going to end this is, what were your thoughts on The Giver when you read it, and what were your interpretations? Because this is definitely a book that has multiple interpretations. And did it mess with you as much as it messed with me?
Or did you enjoy it like I did?
So yeah, The Giver! I was just like, what is happening?